Thank you for tuning in and welcome back to the Sandwich of Coherency. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this. So lately we've been talking about what's been going on with these pressures of adults trying to expose children to inappropriate material, you know, just things that up until recently we as a society understood are just things you don't do to children, things you don't talk with children, rather things that only parents should be talking about with their children. But there's this push to have random people, you know, talking to children about these things. And the justification for it is that, well, they're in a position of authority and children can trust people in positions of authority. And you send your children to the school, so by extension, you trust that everybody that is at the school should be allowed in that position of authority to talk about anything and everything with your child and keep those things from you. And it's really getting ridiculous. So I want to kind of put everything into like a package that's easy to understand, for people that don't have children, so they can understand where people with children are coming from, so they can understand what parents are trying to convey to them. Because one of the important things that is not talked about very often is that a lot of these teachers that are having these conversations with these young kids don't have children. They're not parents. And for those teachers that are saying they've been on hormones and all this other kind of stuff, these people probably never have children. So they don't understand where parents are coming from. They see the children as just little things you can pass around, that anybody can have fun with kids, with anybody's kids, and no, you shouldn't. And I'm trying to be a little bit calmer this time than I was before. I admit I got a little heated about it just because, but it just really makes your blood boil. So I want to start off with this article from 2020. Now I've talked about this before, but for those of you that didn't catch that, I want to talk about this again. I just want to bring it up for a short, quick bit because it is a good part of what we're talking about. This is from the Los Angeles Times. And this is from 2020. Let's see. Boy 16 was given estrogen for behavioral disorder while in LA, juvenile hall suit alleges. And the gist of it is that basically, a 16-year-old boy being held at a Los Angeles County juvenile hall developed enlarged breasts after he was prescribed estrogen to start a behavioral disorder, a move that baffled doctors who said the treatment defied medical logic, according to the lawsuit filed last month. Let's see. The teen, whose identity is being withheld because of his age, was diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder, ODD, 2 days after he was arrested and housed at Eastlake Juvenile Hall in June 2019. Medical records reviewed by the Times show that the boy's testosterone levels were slightly high when the doctor who diagnosed him prescribed a daily dose of estrogen. Estrogen regulates the development of female sexual characteristics and reproduction. And men produce the hormone at much lower levels, of course, But after taking approximately 13 doses of the hormone, the teen was diagnosed with gynecomastia, defined as the enlargement or swelling of breast tissue in males whose estrogen level is too high. And, I just want to get to this part. I'm going to skip right here. ODD, a behavioral medical condition that is sometimes suffered by patients with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, is normally treated with therapy, say James McGo, a professor of clinical psychiatry at UCLA. Estrogen is not a treatment for ODD. I can't be more emphatic about that, McGo said. You won't find a reference anywhere that supports the use of estrogen for ODD. This was an experimental treatment. And mind you, of course, the parents were not informed of this. They did not find out about this until they came to visit their son at the juvenile hall and saw that he was rocking a pair of bees. Now, do those parents have a right to be upset about that? Yes, they do. And this brings into light the other situation in which you've seen the laws being passed in multiple states where children are able to get these gender affirming care, hormone blockers, and whatnot, or medical treatments, or without parents' permission or parents being informed that they are receiving these. This is a really big issue because what you have now is the state getting involved in deciding that they want to help the people who want to do these things to your children be able to do these things to your children. You know, I mean, how could a person not be upset to find out that someone's been giving drugs to your child without your knowledge? And I truly believe, and I know some people will be upset about it, but I really don't care. But I truly believe that a lot of these teachers at these schools, that they themselves are on these hormones, feel like they're helping the child. So I would not be too surprised if they are secretly giving some of their stuff to your child to help affirm their care because the parents won't give it to them. So, keeping that in mind, I want to jump to, we're going to watch a couple videos real quick. I'm going to try and get through these really fast, and so we can keep this pretty short. So, this one is from 5 years ago, 2018. And this is what was happening in a kindergarten. This is in a kindergarten. So, and this is what I'm talking about with the teachers, which is why I want to see. I want to watch this one.
Sam and Adrian, it was quite an emotional board meeting at Rockland Academy tonight, and it was standing room only with parents and teachers speaking out tonight about a teacher who read books to her kindergartner class. And also during that time, that kindergartner was going through a transition in front of her peers. And tonight that teacher spoke out.
And what I will share over and over again is how proud I was of my students.
An emotional Rockland Academy teacher addressing a packed house of parents, many furious about her decision to discuss the topic of gender identity inside her kindergarten class.
It was never my intent to harm any students, only to support them through a difficult situation.
The teacher defended her actions to read 2 books she says were given to her by a transgender child going through a transition.
The kindergartners came home very confused about whether or not you can pick your gender, whether or not they really were a boy or a girl.
Parents say besides the books, the transgender student at some point during class also changed clothes and was revealed as her true gender. And many parents say they feel betrayed and blindsided.
I want her to hear from me as a parent what her gender identity means to her and to our family. Not from a book that may be controversial. My daughter went home crying, shaking, so afraid that she could turn into a boy.
The issue was not on the agenda, so parents spoke out during Monday night's public comment.
It's really about the parents being informed and involved and, giving us the choice and the rights about, what's getting introduced to our kids and at what age.
Many teachers also speaking out in support of what transpired inside the classroom on the last days of the academic year.
Head in the direction of banned books or book lists or selected literature that should only be read inside or outside of the classroom. I think that that's a very dangerous direction to go.
I'm a part of it. I have a little mess going on. No, you don't get to make that decision. That is not what that teacher was hired to do. Her job was to educate the children. If a little kid comes to you and is bringing you these books, like that kind of stuff, you don't read it to the entire fucking class. That's not your position. And especially not informing the parents of this. No. What you are supposed to do is explain to this child And it's not your duty to talk to them. They need to talk about this with their parents. This is something that needs to be spoken between the parents and the child. Are these parents correct for how they feel? I think so. What about you? I mean, how could you not be upset about that? Look, if that's what people want to do to their own children, like I said before, you want to fuck your own children up, that's fine. But do that to your own kids. You know, don't do that to other people's children. Other people have the right to say, no, not with my fucking kids. And you don't get to argue that. That's the part, and that's the part that's really making this so hard to understand how it's gotten this far. You don't have the right. It's not just the authority. You don't have the right to argue with the parents if they tell you, you don't talk to my kids about this. This is between them and me. I will have these conversations with them. Not you. I'm the person who brought this little motherfucker into the world. I'm the one that has to raise them. I am responsible for them. When shit happens to them and CPS or the police come calling, they talk to me, not you. So as far as what happens with the child, you, as not being the parent, do not get to argue with the parents on how the child should be raised or taken care of. I would think that would be just basic. You know. So, but let's close this out with this this bit from Tucker Carlson from last year.
California Teachers Association is one of the most powerful unions in the country, and it is purely an organ of the Democratic Party. Recently, the union held a conference to discuss how to indoctrinate school children without their parents' knowledge. One first-grade teacher called Blair Wyatt explained that it's best to hold meetings for gender identity clubs during lunchtime so that parents never know.
Yes, that lunchtime is kind of that sweet spot where the kids don't need to come earlier or stay late, and kind of eliminates a little bit of that parent interaction if there are kids who would like to attend, but maybe their parents are unaware that they're interested in participating or unaware that they are out at school. So if you can get it to happen at lunch, that seems like a really good structure to, protect the kids' identities and protect and allow them to attend.
Amazing that they're admitting this in public. Documents from the conference also show that teachers admit they read students' Google search histories looking for signs of interest in gender issues so they can take advantage of them. We wouldn't know any of this was happening if it weren't for Abigail Shrier. She broke the story. She's the author of Irreversible Damage, The Transgender Craze, and a very brave person. She joins us tonight. Abigail, thanks so much for coming on, for breaking this story. It looks, on the face of it, from what we presented, that these teachers are intentionally trying to hide what's going on from the parents of the kids.
That's right. The deception is actually the point. It's explicit. And in fact, in both the reporting I did on that conference you mentioned in October, and then I've since seen more recent videos of the California Teachers Association specifically guiding teachers statewide in deception of parents about the clubs, about the membership, that even at the elementary school level, 8- and 9-year-olds telling them to rename the clubs, things like Prism Club, so that the parents won't know what's going on in the club and won't be able to, supervise.
Since when are teachers allowed to get involved in these sex lives of minor children without the knowledge of the parents? That seems like a crime to me.
Well, in one of the videos I watched put out by the California Teachers Association, the teachers instructed other educators that children as young as 7 need support in their sexual identity. And they believe it is their job to provide that. And look, if this were a matter of parents coming in and saying their child had a particular sexual or gender identity and they wanted the school to support it, that would be one thing. But instead, what the California Teachers Association is doing is they're deciding how to recruit students to these clubs, how to coach them in solidifying this gender identity or sexual orientation identity, and they're doing this by deceiving parents, specifically telling teachers how to keep the existence of the clubs and the membership from the parents.
I mean, I assume everyone's going to leave public schools at a certain point who can and homeschool.
I mean, it just keeps getting worse and worse. If the whole idea was that they just wanted to do them, hey, you do you. That's fine. Nobody cares. But the fact that you want to do you and other people, that's where we have a problem at. And it's to the point, look, there's a whole plethora of videos that you can find of parents going to school board meetings and taking books that they found in elementary schools, middle schools, secondary schools, everything else, with material that is 100% pornographic. It's essentially soft-core porn books for children. Now, the material, the words, the things that are in these books are what they make available to children. And what I'm saying is you can find plenty of these videos online where parents take this material to the school board meetings and they present it to the school board and they attempt to read it to the school board and they end up getting cut off, getting shut down, getting kicked out because the school board members even state that's pornographic. You cannot say these things. You cannot read this material in public because this is not appropriate. This is not suitable for work shit. But at the same time, they'll tell you, oh, this is good for a 7-year-old to read. You know, I'm sorry, there's no reason teachers should be talking to children about masturbation. Why the fuck is an elementary school teacher talking to 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds about masturbation? What the fuck is going on? There was a time where if a teacher got caught doing that shit, they would have dragged them out. That person would be in jail. They would be behind bars. But because they're saying it, but because they say they're doing it for the trans identity community, apparently that makes it okay. And no, it's not okay. Porn for children does not become something that you can do just because it's about where you want to stick it. No. It just makes no sense. But, you know, again, like, we have to make sure more people know that this is going on. People need to be aware of what's going on. But hey, that's just my take on it. But I thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.